Now we will discuss the gradient based methods. Till now, the methods which we have gone through, they are direct based methods. In those direct based methods, we locate the minimum point by using the function values. So whether it is bracketing methods or the region elimination methods, we always use objective function value to locate the minimum. The gradient based methods, they generally need gradient information. So it can be gradient of the function. Sometimes we need double derivative of the function to locate the minimum point if available. Generally, the termination condition for the gradient based method is the gradient is 0 at the local or global optimum. This we can correlate with our optimality condition. That is the first necessary condition, that derivative of the function should be 0. So at that point, when this condition is satisfied, the point is referred to as the optimum point, and that's why this will become the termination condition for gradient based methods. Generally, we use central difference method for computing the derivative of the function numerically. Now, what you can see from this formula, that we have to find two function evaluation as f of x plus delta x and f of x minus delta x. Since these are the two different values, so we have to calculate two function evaluation. So that's why I have mentioned that each gradient takes two evaluation. Now, Newton-Raphson method is a quadratic approximation of the function. Say, let's suppose the function is given and the current point is xk. Now here k refers to the kth iteration. So when we will be using the Taylor series expansion, we can find that the new point xk plus 1 is equals to xk minus times of first derivative at the current point divided by the second derivative of the current point. So let's see how we can get this formula. So we can assume that we have, say, delta, which is nothing but the difference between the new point and the current point, and let us assume that it's a small value. Now we will use the Taylor series expansion of the function fx, which is objective function, at the current point xk. So if we write it, so xk plus delta, and we use Taylor series function up to, say, first term. So we have fxk and then delta derivative of the function. Now, what we can do here is we can differentiate this particular function. So when we differentiate, you know that the necessary condition says that if I'm differentiating the function and putting equals to 0, that will becomes the necessary optimality condition. So if I do so, differentiating f dash of xk plus delta, I will get this kind of a right hand side. And since we are equating equal to 0 as per our necessary optimality condition, we can take these terms on the right hand side. So what we will realize after simplification, that delta is equals to, which we have already mentioned here, that xk minus xk is equals to minus times of first derivative at the current point divided by the second derivative at the current point. So this particular equation is the same as what I have mentioned at the top. So the algorithm is quite simple. We start with the initial guess. So initial guess means that between the range of, say, A and a B, our computer will generate one random point in between. And then we set a small epsilon value, which is generally used for terminating the algorithm. We set a counter k equal to 1. So k will refer as number of iterations. So initially we compute the derivative. So since it's a program algorithm, we will be computing this derivative numerically at the current point xk. So currently k is 1 means x1. In step 2, we calculate the double derivative. As we know, when we calculate the double derivative, in step 3, we find a new point which is xk plus 1, which is depending on xk and the formula what we have read in the last slide. Once we find this new point, we again compute the derivative at the new point. It is required. Why? Because at step 4, we see whether this derivative at the new point is smaller than epsilon. If it is so, it means that we are very close to the optima or we have reached to the optima. So we should terminate. If not, then we should increase the counter by 1. we should go to the 2 where we have to find the double derivative, then calculate the new point, and we keep on moving till our algorithm gets terminated. Let us solve the same problem. So I'll show you the hand calculation here. So this particular problem, what we are solving from the previous slides, as we know, the optima is at x equals to 3. So as we know, the first step of Newton-Raphson method is we have to set initial get, say x1. So currently we have chosen 1. So from the graph, you can say that 1 is here, which is little far from 3. An epsilon value 10 to the power minus 3 so that we can terminate our algorithm. K is 1. And first we compute our first derivative of the function. So if we calculate as I have written numerically, because when we write a code, we have to find the derivative of the function at a point numerically. So this is minus 52.005. Now you remember that in step 2, we calculate second derivative of the function. While calculating numerically again, we get 110.011. Putting the value of f dash and f double dash x, we can compute the new point in step 3, which is xk plus 1. By putting all the values, we get 1.473. Afterwards, we check the termination condition. So when we see the derivative at the new point, so the net derivative of the new point is minus 21.944. We take the modulus and we know that this value is quite high than 10 to the power minus 3. So we will not terminate. We will increase the counter of a k by 1 and we proceed to step number 2. Here, the first iteration is over. Now, since we have calculated the new point, again in step 2, we calculate double derivative at the new point, which is 35.796. It is currently numerically calculated. Thereafter, we compute the new point as xk plus 1, the given formula. The value will be 2.086. Now at this particular point, we will find the derivative of the function in step 4, and then we will check the termination condition. As we can see, this particular value is quite high than epsilon value. We increase the counter of k by 1. We proceed to step 2, and this is the second iteration which gets over. So numerically, we will be doing by 2 iterations. Here, one thing you please make sure that when you will be writing a code, the derivative or double derivative, you will be calculating numerically. So you have to write a code for that. And when you are solving a problem in assignment, or suppose some kind of a small exam or a quiz when I will take, then you can use the way hand calculation, like you can actually differentiate the function as df by dx, and whatever be the equation, putting the value, you will get the answer. Now, what you will realize that since we have shown the iteration for 2, after 3 iterations, basically the 7th point will get 3.0001. Now you know that the optima of this point is at 3. So that's why this is going to be an optimal. If you find the derivative of the function, which is minus 4 10 to the power minus 8. Now this particular derivative, if you compare this derivative at the step number 4, so you know that this algorithm will terminate after finding x7. Now let's see how graphically the point moves. So this is our iteration. We started at x1, which is 1 currently, and we get the objective function value 55. In the second iteration, the point is improved and the objective function is 38.829. Now you can see from iteration 1 to iteration 2, the objective function is improving and the point is moving towards the optima, which is currently 3. In iteration number 3, again the point is moved close to the point 3 and the objective function is improved. And then in iteration 4, we are already close to the optima, and you can see the objective function is improving iteration by iteration. In the 7th iteration, as you remember, that this is the point which is actually on the minimum point. So that's why the algorithm will terminate. There are some remarks for this algorithm. So here it is important to understand that or note that the convergence of the algorithm depends on the initial point and the nature of objective function. What it means that if our initial point is close to the minima, then this method will quickly take you to the optima. Second thing, now you look at the curve of this function in this figure. Now, if suppose the function is flat near the optima, then in that case, the algorithm will take a lot of time. Why? Because when the function gets flat, the new point will be very close to the previous point. So therefore, the algorithm or the Newton-Raphson method will take more number of iteration to converge to the optimum. So that's why we say that it depends on the initial point and the nature of the curve. And the gradient we generally calculate numerically on a computer. So when you will be making the code, just make sure that you are finding gradient, the derivative and the second derivative numerically. And at every iteration, we have to find the first and second derivative. So total we need 3 function evaluation. So please note that we need 3 function evaluation, and you write a note and you just see that how many function evaluations are required. Now I'm coming to the another method, which is called bisection method. Now what you have realized that in Newton method, which was working very fine, but we need second derivative. But in bisection method, what it says that we don't need second derivative, we have to avoid it. And what we can use it, we can use first derivative and its sign. Sign means whether it is plus or a minus, because derivative, it's a gradient or it's a slope. It can be positive or a negative. So based on the value as well as sign of the first derivative, bisection method works, and it is very similar to a region elimination method. So region elimination method, where when you get the point, so you know that in this particular region, the minima will never lie. So we delete that particular range and we only focus on the region where the optima will be located. So similar concept is used in bisection method. Now let us see the figure. Now in this figure, I have shown you the slope of the function at 2 points, A and a B along x-axis, and the derivative is shown in a blue and a red color. Now what you can see, both the derivatives have a different sign. One is negative, another is positive. Now here, what you can realize that whenever the curve nature is like this, where both the derivatives are of different nature, then we can always make sure that the minima will be definitely lying between A and a B, which is evident from the shape of this particular figure. How this algorithm works? So as you know that we need 2 points, A and a B. We calculate derivative and we have to choose A and a B such that the derivative at A should be smaller than 0 and derivative of a B should be greater than 0. And we have to choose epsilon value. Why? Because we have to terminate the algorithm. So this A and a B we are fixing as x1 equals to A and x2 equals to B. Thereafter, we calculate the middle point Z. So this is similar to the interval halving where we look for the middle point. So we find the middle point at Z, which is x2 plus x1 divided by 2, and we find the derivative of the function. Now, since this derivative we got it, so you remember that we have to check the termination condition at step 3. If it is smaller than epsilon, there is a small error. You can see this mod I have used. So this particular vertical line should be with f dash of z. So we always take a positive value of the derivative of the function that should be smaller than epsilon. So this is the error. You take this here. And if this condition satisfies, we terminate the algorithm. If not, then we always look which particular region we can eliminate. If the derivative of the function at z is smaller than 0, so we know that the minima will never be lying from A to x1. So that's why we will write x1 will become z and we go to the step 2. If derivative of the function is greater than 0, then we know that the minima will never lie from z to b. So that's why x2 will become z and we go to 2. Again at 2, we find the middle point, find the derivative. We check the termination condition thereafter. This we are moving till the algorithm gets terminated. Just make sure that it requires 2 function evaluation per iteration. Why? Because we need to calculate derivative of the z only. And this z means, you remember in one of the slide I show you that if you are going to calculate the derivative of the function numerically, you need 2 function evaluations. Now here, I just want to point out that you may be wondering how I can choose point A and a B such that these 2 conditions satisfy. So if you use any bracketing method, that bracketing method will be able to give you this A and a B. So you choose accordingly. Let us solve the same problem which we are solving earlier. And for this particular given problem, we know that the optima is lying at 3. So I will be showing you the hand calculation of the bisection method. You remember that the first step is we have to choose A and a B such that their sign of derivative should be opposite. So I have written directly x1 equals to 2, x2 equals to 5. When we find the derivative at x1 and x2, what you will realize that the sign of both the derivatives are opposite. It means that we can go ahead. Here we set a value epsilon 10 to the power minus 3 to terminate the algorithm. Now step 2, as you remember, that we calculate the middle point. So the middle point is given as z, which is x1 plus x2 divided by 2. This comes out to be 3.5. And when we find the derivative numerically, it is 2.591. Now, you remember that in the algorithm, I have written this particular condition incorrectly. So please note that this is the correct one where the mod should come for f dash of a z. Now, looking at the value of f dash of a z in step 2, we know that this value is greater than epsilon. And also it is greater than 0. So we can go further. Now here it is important to know that. So in the figure, if you remember, you can locate the point 3.5. Now since the derivative is positive, so we can say that the minima will never be lying from 3.5 to 5. That is called region elimination method. So that's why we updated x2 is equals to z and we go to the step 2. That complete our first iteration. Thereafter, we calculate again the middle point with the updated value of x2. X1 remains the same and x1 plus x2 divided by 2, we get 2.75. And the derivative of these at the z is minus 1.64. So it is calculated numerically. Again, we will check the termination condition. Since it is greater than epsilon, we will go ahead. Here, it is important to note that the sign of the derivative of the function at z is smaller than 0. So you know that the minima will never be lying from a to x1. So therefore, we update x1 as z. We go to step 2 and then this completes the 2 iteration of the bisection method. If you keep on running after 10 function evaluation, you will realize that the x will be lying between 2.75 to 3.125. Now look at the figure. I have drawn all the points together. Now what you can find is A is given on the x-axis as a 2, B is given as 5 as a 5. You can locate Z1 with its objective function value 27.67, Z2, similarly Z3. So this is the way you can see that how we are eliminating the region and finally based on the termination condition, which is epsilon, we will converge to the optimum solution. Now this is the last method in this particular chapter. So that method is called secant method. Here in the secant method, we are going to use both magnitude and the sign of the derivative. So you remember that in the bisection method, we were never using the value. We were just looking whether, first of all, at the 2 point, the derivative should be in opposite sign. And in step 3, we always look whether it is a smaller than or a greater than type. If the based on the derivative sign, we eliminate the region. But what secant method says that they are going to use the value. So the value of the derivative as well as the sign, both will be used. And in this case also, we don't have to calculate the double derivative of the function. Right. So how it works? Now let's look the figure here. In the figure, we have identified say 2 point A and a B. Now what you can see, the blue line is one derivative, so basically a slope at A, and the red line is the another slope on the curve at a point B. Now what we will be doing is this method is based on the assumption that, for example, let me take this blue line. Now, if I keep on moving this point A along B, so the derivative, which is a blue color line, since the value of X will be changing, this derivative will also be changing with the value of X. And there will be a one particular value between A and a B when the derivative will be 0. So if you keep on moving this blue line along the curve from A to B, there will be a point where this derivative will be 0. And that's why in the assumption it is written that the derivative of the function is assumed to vary linearly between the chosen boundary point. So if it is changing linearly, so it means that from negative to positive, there must be a one point where the derivative will be 0. Now here, since the derivative at the chosen points have a different signs and they vary linearly, there exists a point between these 2 points with the 0 derivative, as I have explained you earlier. Now let's see how they find the new point. So we all know that what is the equation of the straight line? It is written as y minus y2, y2 minus y1, x2 minus x1, x minus x1. So this is the very standard equation which everyone knows that. Here, if we assume that y is the derivative of the function, y1 is the derivative of the function at x1, and y2 is the derivative of the function at x2. So 2 points are given to us. If we use the optimality condition, let us assume that. So in that case, the derivative of the function should be 0. If I put this value, I'll get x is equals to x2 and this particular formula. So we are just simplifying this equation. So this particular formula is used to get the new point in secant method. So let's see how the algorithm works. So again, we have to choose 2 points in such a way that their derivative sign should be opposite. We choose epsilon value so that we can terminate algorithm. We set x1 equal to A, x2 equals to B. Now, this is the same formula as I have discussed in the previous slide. And when you put it, you will get the new value of a Z, and then we evaluate. After evaluating the derivative of the function at new point Z, we just see that again, you see that the termination condition is written wrongly because this vertical mod sign should come only with the f dash of a Z. Now we look at the mod value of the derivative of the function at a Z. If it is smaller than epsilon, we should terminate. Otherwise, we update based on the value of derivative. If it is smaller than 0, we have to set x1 equals to Z and go to step 2. If it is greater than 0, x2 equals to Z and go to step 2. Now what you realize that all this step of secant method are similar to the bisection method. Only the change which you can see is the Z. In bisection, we calculate the middle point, but in secant, we calculate Z. Now let us solve the same example which we are solving. I will be showing the hand calculation of a secant method. Optima, we know that it is lying at x is equals to 3. Now you remember that we start with the 2 point A and a B. So I'm writing directly x1 equals to 2, x2 equals to 5. Find the derivative. So we know that both of the sign are opposite. We can go further. We take epsilon as 10 to the power minus 3. In step 2, we have to calculate the Z based on the formula discussed in the previous slides. We get a value 3.644. And the derivative at this new point Z is 3.221, which is we found numerically. Now here, since this derivative is greater than epsilon value, we should go ahead. Second observation is that since the derivative of this function, derivative of the function at z is positive. So we know that if we locate say 3.644 somewhere here, then we know that the minima will never be lying from 3.644 to 5. So that's why we eliminate that region and we set x2 equals to z. We go to step 2 and that completes the one iteration. Thereafter, we again compute the new z value using the formula, which came out to be 3.228. We find the derivative, which is 1.128. Now we check the termination condition. Since the derivative of the function at z is greater than epsilon, we should go ahead. We are setting x2 is equals to z and we go to step 2. That makes 2 iterations complete. At the end of the 10 generation, so if we keep on running our secant method, we keep on running this method, then after 10 function evaluation, you will realize that we get a point, say z 3.037, which is very close to our optimal point. Now look at the figure. I'm showing you a and a b along x-axis, and then I'm showing z1, z2, and a z3, which you can make it out that how this particular function is moving towards the optima. So now I have come to the conclusion now. Here in this particular chapter, we have gone through the single variable optimization algorithm. So before starting all those algorithms, we should know what are the optimality conditions. So these are the basics. Everyone should know that. So we have gone through the necessary optimality condition followed by the sufficient optimality condition. We proved those conditions using Taylor series function. We also discussed the geometrical significance of necessary and sufficient optimality conditions. Thereafter, we move to direct search method, which are currently divided into bracketing method and region elimination method. As you know, the bracketing methods are roughly bracketing the minima. We use exhaustive search method and a bounding phase method. And region elimination method eliminates the region and accurately locating the minima. In this particular class, we have gone through interval halving method and a golden section search method. Thereafter, we have gone through gradient search method. Basically, we targeted 3 methods: Newton-Raphson, bisection, and a secant methods. Thereafter, in all these methods, what you have realized that we discussed the method. So through the algorithm representation is important for us. Why? Because if we, if we know the algorithm, we can always write a code for that algorithm. Thereafter, for every method which we have gone through, we did hand calculation up to 2 iterations. And then we also show the graphical illustration so that you can understand how the points are moving so that we can locate the optima. So with this, I'm concluding the chapter number 2. Thank you very much.